Thank you very much for joining me on this Thursday. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. I've been seeing the comments. Thank you for sharing this channel with others. I see those comments. I appreciate those comments. I want you to know that I'm trying to go through those throughout the day. All right, let's get right to it. I don't want to waste your time. You got things to do, and we are watching this bigger blob that is now starting to take shape in the Caribbean. So that flood threat is very high in some spots, and it will be shifting around throughout the day. And this area here throughout the Caribbean, as we've been talking about now for about 6-7 days, 6-7 videos, I do expect some development in the National Hurricane Center out of the U.S. is also seeing that potential of development now right through here. And again, this area here that will eventually move up toward Bermuda. Bermuda watching you. We have a lot of subscribers from Bermuda. I'm not seeing anything crazy forming, but again, rounds of rain and even some gusty winds moving to parts of Bermuda with that spin up there. So I got my eye on you, keeping an eye on that. Not seeing a ton of development out of this though, at least in the short term, just with an old front. And that old front extends all the way down to the south. Plus we've had these tropical waves move in. So look at this flare up that we've been seeing here. Here's the blob. Here are the rain and storms all scattered about. So it's going to be different spots. Again, one island, we may be okay. The next island, dealing with some flooding. Back to the west, not a whole lot. But this is an area we're going to be watching closely from Haiti, Dominican Republic, Jamaica, Cayman Islands, Mexico, Belize, Honduras, Nicaragua, down through Costa Rica to see how this system develops further as it continues to work its way off to the west. All right, so let's get into things and what we're seeing here. St. Kitts and Nevis, we could see some of those shower storms scattered about throughout the day. Heaviest stuff, British Virgin Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands, St. Martin down again through St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, watching out for some rain and storms, northern Venezuela. We had some of the flooding yesterday, watching over towards St. Lucia. Just need to see how this shakes out. So as we go forward in time, let me take you into the weekend and stop it here. This is Sunday. So rounds of rain and storms still near Barbados, St. Lucia, and then Martinique, Dominica, Guadeloupe. But here's the core of this area that we're going to be watching, and it's still going to be bringing rain to parts of Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands as we get into this weekend. And at this point, it could start to become a tropical depression, and still behind it, rain feeding in. So we're still going to deal with flooding. That is going to be a high potential. I'm going to break that down further. We'll get into the rain totals in this video and the wave heights. And then you see, let me take out in time until Tuesday. This is later on Tuesday. Whatever the system is starts to swing into the central Caribbean by Tuesday. At that point, it could be a tropical depression. Either way, that's when it starts to bring heavier rain back through Jamaica. The center of this could be right about here, just south of Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, and still behind it, look at Barbados over toward Trinidad and Tobago, still bringing that easterly flow. Look at all this moisture. This could be actually the wettest pattern we've seen so far this season in the Caribbean. And then this, by the time we get into the middle and end of next week, this is by Thursday, so a week from now, there could be a system, potentially even a tropical storm, maybe a hurricane, approaching our friends in our western zones. This is still a big wait and see at this point. So here's the core of whatever this is, but back behind it, still the rain and storm. So the flooding threat has begun in spots. That's going to continue, and then we're going to watch out for a potential of a wind and flood threat in the western Caribbean, watching Jamaica back toward Belize by the time we get into the middle and end of next week. It is super busy. We've had some big issues this season, but this here kind of a prolonged issue with the rain with this system. We're just still waiting to see how it develops. But even if it doesn't develop, that rain threat's going to be high. Here's some of the rain as we take you through Sunday. And just simply put, you see these brighter colors here. We're looking at some spots 150 to 200 millimeters. So we could see some spots over half a foot of rain. And again, I know some of this is over the water, but some of this is on land. It just depends on where some of these storms pop up. So again, we're going to have to watch out for that flood threat, which is really kind of enhanced over the next few days. Now we take a look at all the models. So I've been watching everything behind the scenes for you. And here's the European model, same thing as yesterday. In all the models in fairly good agreement with what could happen with this. They're all latching onto something now and just driving it to the west. High pressure will be to the north, but that will be key. I'm going to get into that tomorrow more. Tomorrow's video, I'm going to get into the steering currents with this area of high pressure and talk about will it swing more to the north or more back to the west. European model takes it more to the west and keeps it fairly weak, but that does not diminish the heavy rain and flood threat. And we swing over to the Canadian model, just sampling another model, same track, making it kind of work its way toward the west. But the Canadian model does wrap this system up. It makes it stronger, feeds off the warm water. High pressure would be to the north. This would swing it to the west. And the Canadian model brings us to at least tropical storm status, entering into the Western Caribbean by the middle of next week. So models all kind of taking it off to the west. The American, the European, and the Canadian, a difference in the strengths, but all seeing that flooding. But we just need to wait and see if it does wrap up and intensify into a tropical storm or a hurricane. Waves are going to be picking up. This is the wave forecast for tomorrow. A lot of captains, a lot of mariners on this channel, and you can see these brighter colors here. This is in meters, so we're upwards of about a few meters, definitely increasing. You see the purples here, not as much. This is kind of flat, but as you get out in time, 2, 3, 4 meters. So point being, seas are going to be increasing the Eastern Caribbean first, and then kind of working their way back to the west. All right, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, 29 degrees. Watching out for areas of heavier rain. That bigger blob just to the west of us in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but we're going to see things shifting throughout the day. Watching out for some areas of flooding down through Grenada. Let me take you into the forecast of Western Caribbean, Belize, Guatemala, El Salvador, Costa Rica, Panama, still near Panama, higher chance of some rain. Belize, about a 40% chance back through Jamaica. And my friends in the Cayman Islands, watching over toward Cuba, of course. Same thing through the Bahamas, by the way. Not losing sight of the Bahamas. Not as much action throughout the Bahamas. Southern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos. We'll get some scattered showers and storms. Keep an eye on you. But the flood threat, of course, much higher here where we have that higher chance of rain. We need to stay on alert. We're going to get a good amount of rain in some spot, which is, I guess, a bad amount of rain in several spots for later today. Now, we are way past the peak of the season, which is September 10th. So this kind of looks like a fire here. This kind of shows the peak of the season, and then we're about here in November. So we still get some development this time of the year. Then usually November to December, it drops off rapidly. So we're seeing a resurgence in the tropics right now, late October, early November, which sometimes happens, and that's why we're watching it. And where this system is developing, it's where things typically develop this time of year. So it's not uncommon to get a tropical storm or hurricane this time of year in the Caribbean. So my promise to you is that I will stay on top of it for you. Any changes, I will let you know. Thinking of you, if you're dealing with the flooding, I'm going to watch this thing all day long, all night long to see if it starts to develop. I'll keep you posted, and tomorrow we'll get into the steering currents and the videos. Thank you again for sharing this video, and have a good rest of your day.